Good morning, yoga teachers and trauma-informed practitioners. Let me just close this. That's it, done it. Okay, so welcome to another training. My name is Aneta Itchak. I'm a yoga teacher, trainer and mentor, and I'm also a founder of Golden Mandala Yoga Soma Institute, providing trauma-informed trainings to yoga teachers. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about trauma-informed yoga for social impact from the perspective of the Dandelion Effect. And this is something I was speaking about this week with another experienced yoga teacher and coach, Isabel Griffiths, who wrote a really good an article around the Dandelion Effect. And I've been reflecting about it. How does the Dandelion Effect relates to being a trauma-informed yoga teacher, and this part of the trauma-informed yoga for social impact? And as I went through the week, I had quite a lot of thoughts about it. So why the Dandelion Effect? I mean, I absolutely love it. Let's just start with that. I used to talk about the impact and visualize the impact that we make being like ripple effects. When we drop a drop of water into a very still, quiet pond of water, it ripples out, and it ripples out in every direction. But when I think about the Dandelion Effect, it actually is much more powerful, because if you imagine that everybody that you spend time with is like a dandelion seed that then can flow in any direction, including up, it can flow, some of the seeds can flow very, very far, some of the seeds will stay very close, and each one will grow its own plant with its own beautiful yellow flowers that will then turn into a dandelion, a flower full of dandelion seeds. You might remember how much, I mean, I loved it definitely, but you might remember as a child picking up the dandelion and just blowing it, and the seeds go in every direction. And so this is a really great metaphor for thinking about our work as yoga teachers, as practitioners, but also in our life. If we think in this kind of way, from the perspective of everybody in our teaching that we come in contact with being like a dandelion seed, then we start understanding how important it is for us to work in a certain kind of way. So if we take trauma-informed approach, and when I say about trauma-informed approach, I'm talking about a certain way of working. I'm talking about certain values that we hold, and those values that that our values, our deep values, are our deeply held beliefs about what's important. And when you work in a trauma-informed approach, there are certain values that are extremely important. So the highest value in trauma-informed approach is safety. And I've been to events, I've been part of the groups where it didn't feel safe. I've worked with people that didn't feel safe, that my whole body was in response of inner alarms going off, that this person or this event or this situation doesn't feel safe. And it's taken me a long time to really honor those feelings, to say, well, actually, yes, on the surface, this person looks like they're very experienced, they're very knowledgeable. But when I'm in relation with them, it doesn't feel safe. And so honoring that is a really important part of our journey. This is how you build a deep sense of self-trust. And this is how you also rewire your nervous system for feeling safe and stable. Because when there are parts of us that are letting us know this feels very unsafe, and our body is in response to that, and we try to deny, reject, or push it away, we build more distrust in our own inner knowing, in our own inner wisdom. And one of the ways that we can work with it is to really work with values. Values are a way to really check something a little bit more tangible to check against. Does this feel safe? Something feels not all right in me. Does this feel safe? And when we come into our teaching as practitioners with the highest value in here is safety before everything else. Safety is number one. And it's not maybe about making somebody feel safe completely, because that might be a challenge because they own trauma history, their own situation. But we can move towards safety by witnessing, acknowledging, honoring how other people are feeling in our sessions. And so what are the kind of trauma-informed values? As a practitioner, there is, the safety is the highest value. Then as a practitioner, we need to be reliable. We need to be consistent. We need to have clear boundaries, what I call compassionate boundaries. That means that we need to be professional. That means that if we say we do something, we do something. And if we were not able to do it, we name it. So we are transparent and we are honest about something. Like I said I would do it, but there were other circumstances I wasn't able to do it. So I apologize. It's honoring our human experience, being a human, making mistakes, being fallible. It's really important to do that, because that takes away from, having to pretend that we are in some kind of way, like I am really sorted and I know what I'm doing. Like, this is why I also dislike this word, I'm an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm experienced. I had a lot of experience, had a lot of knowledge that I can share. But as an expert, there is so much pressure. If you call yourself an expert, there is so much pressure about knowing it all, having all the answers. I don't want that kind of pressure. I'd rather come from the perspective of, I've got loads of experience that I really want to share with you, because I think it's extremely valuable, because it's life-changing, because it made a huge difference to me. It made a huge difference to my students and my clients, and it's making a huge difference to the yoga teachers and practitioners that I work with in the trauma-informed yoga teacher training and mentoring courses, as well as in yoga business mentoring courses. It makes a difference. I know that, I can see it, and people that I work with tell me that. There is another thing also, to understand around the values. It's like values come from our soul. Values comes from these deeply held beliefs. And when we act in alignment with our values, we feel that. It feels really right within our whole system. When we don't act in line with our values, we start feeling it in our body. It's like, it doesn't feel right. our system lets us know that it doesn't feel right. And, you know, this is also why I really struggle with words like personal brand for yoga teachers. You know, a personal brand, as if as if I had to become, you know, like a shop or something, that I'm selling something, become personal brand. And I'd rather think about it as there is a need. I've got experience around it. There is my personal experience. There is the training that I've done. There is the knowledge that I have. There is something of value here that I know can be really powerful and life-changing and transformative for others. And I want to share that. It's not so much about me. It's about this knowledge, this wisdom that I can share. And in that way, I don't have to become personal brand. I don't have to make sure that you do exactly what I do. And so how does it manifest itself? It's like, for example, in our 80-hour trauma-informed yoga teacher training and mentoring course, the final assignment is that everybody, to complete the course, needs to create their own trauma-informed course. You know, 6 week, 8 week long. I had a couple of people doing 10 or 12 week long program that comes from the integration of what we cover in the trauma-informed training, the practices, you know, trauma-informed approach, but also that comes from already what they feel passionate about, their experience, their expertise, their training, to create something really unique. I could do it in a different way, that, you know, ask people to just use the material from the course, or set out the course myself. This is how you do it. But then it becomes very prescriptive. And then it becomes, yes, there are certain things that we need to follow, definitely, like understanding how the nervous system works and following it in a way that feels safe, coming back to that safety value. But each one of us as yoga teachers has got a different journey, personal journey, a different passion, a different expertise, different training, want to work with slightly different groups of people. And so creating something unique like this is a very useful thing, because after the training, you can go and run that training if you're ready, or use that structure to work one-to-one with clients, to get to know the material better, to get to know the practices better, to have more time to integrate. But for me, this is really important. And this is really, you know, the Dandelion Effect describes it really, really well. Because each seat, each teacher in the training then goes in their own direction, becomes a plant themselves, becomes a dandelion with seeds themselves, and spreads it out. And so, you know, with the trauma-informed approach, when we build the communities, you know, there are other values when it comes to community and our own values. It's like the idea of diversity. Each yoga teacher creates different training for different groups of people with different needs, with different tools, with slightly different tools. There are some tools and some practices that will be same, that delivers the transformation. You know, there is the value of our work being inclusive, of bringing you know, idea of choice, collaboration, creating a sense of belonging. So these are a real, you know, real, if I think about it, there are real soul values, deep values that that can lead our work. And then it makes it easier. If we follow those values, it makes it easier for us. So for example, it's not, you know, I've been doing Facebook Lives for a long time. I was doing Facebook Lives when I still had my yoga studio in Ramsgate. I was, you know, live streaming online classes. And that was 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and long before the pandemic. So I have quite a bit of practice, but it's still not easy sometimes for me. Like, for example, at the moment I'm in Poland, I've been speaking a lot of, you know, Polish almost all the time, apart from my partner on the phone. My brain has switched into speaking and thinking and processing and even reading. I've been reading some Polish books in Polish language. And so speaking in English, I have to kind of turn it back. And so this morning I could feel the resistance about doing Facebook Live. But what helped me was to really connect with my values. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because it's important. I'm doing this because I hear again and again from other yoga teachers that it makes a difference. I'm doing it because I really deeply believe in it, that the more we work in trauma-informed way, the more we help our clients and our communities to heal. And so rather than focusing on my sense of, oh, this is really difficult, I don't really want to do that, maybe not today, I reconnected with, why am I doing this? Yes, this is not easy today. Yes, it's a little bit more challenging than at other times. Yes, the circumstances, but I really believe in what I'm doing. And actually, you know, sharing this understanding around our work with the Dandelion Effect can be a really useful thing, because then we can visualize how powerful and how impactful our work is. And we will never know completely and fully how impactful our work is. Just before the pandemic, I was having a meeting with somebody. We were having some breakfast in one of the towns away from where I live, maybe half an hour drive from where I live. And we were having that breakfast in a pub that was halfway point, meeting point between me and the other person. And as we were in that pub, I recognized somebody. I recognized a client that I was working with in my social care job, who I supported for quite a long time, for about a year, who was struggling with substance use, with mental health, you know, was on child protection plan, her family. And as you know, as we were leaving, obviously for confidentiality reasons, I didn't want to kind of draw attention to that person. I just said hello, and I wondered whether that person recognized me. And as we were leaving, my colleague left, and that person came over to me and just said to me, "Thank you so much." They said, "I've been 6 years of alcohol, and thank you so much again for all the support that you gave me. It really made a huge difference." And so, and that was a really, really warm and wonderful moment for me. You know, and these are the times, and there are very few times that we get the glimpse of how powerful our work is, how much of an impact it can make on other people's lives, how much they value that work. And obviously we don't do it for the value. Hopefully we don't do it for the, for the praise and for the value, but it's really great to see the impact sometimes. And so I hope that makes sense. I hope this metaphor of the dandelion is helpful to you. I'd love to hear what you think about it. You might have heard me say that before, that it's like we don't need to be experts. We don't need to be, as yoga teachers or trauma-informed practitioners, we don't need to be the best. We only need to add our voice into the conversation. We only need to share the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience with others that might not have it. We only need to reconnect with those values that are so important. Creating more sense of belonging, creating and embracing more diversity, creating more inclusive, collaborative spaces. Because ultimately, we know that that's what we need for us to change, to make positive social impact, for us to help change the world, support our communities. We do need those values-led way of working. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear that, and I really wish you a good day, and I will be seeing you again. Take care of yourself.